Hey, I just want to do a microphone check here. This is Colby at the community center.
We can hear you just fine, Colby.
Awesome, I can hear you too.
Okay, great.
Colby, this is Bob, do you have anyone in attendance yet?
There is no public here.
Okay. Well, thank you for helping us tonight.
So Mayor Giles, it looks like all of the council is on the call and we're about a minute out from starting. So whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Annette.
Mm-hmm.
This is Bob, Mayor Bob. We will convene our meeting. The regular meeting scheduled for August 13th, 5:30 p.m. The official meeting site is the McCall Community Center. Council President Nielsen is presiding over that location. I am in City Hall in the City Council office, and most of our staff and members of council are on the Teams platform tonight. Before I ask for a roll call, I would like to remind all of the listeners and staff and council of some of the rules that we've adopted. Let me review those real quickly. So due to our commitment to stay healthy in response to the COVID-19 emergency and ensuring that the city's business continues, tonight's meeting is both in person, as in the meeting location at McCall Community Center, and on the phone as a teleconference meeting. I'm reminding all those in attendance, both via Teams and on the phone to please mute your device until you're called upon to speak. If you are called upon to speak, it takes about 20 to 30 seconds for your phone to unmute. You must press *6 to unmute your phone. If anyone is disruptive during our meeting at any time via the phone or other platform during the meeting, you will be removed from the call. At this point, I would like a roll call of the council, Annette.
Okay, Mayor Giles.
Here.
Council Member Holmes.
Here.
Council Member Machezik.
Present.
Council Member Nielsen.
Yes.
Council Member Sowers.
Here.
Thank you, Annette. All council members are present. At this time, if everyone in the audience could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, are there any changes that you would desire to the agenda tonight?
Not for me, Bob. Thank you.
Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda, please.
Mike, motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Mike.
Second.
Who seconded that, please?
Second, Melanie.
Thank you, Melanie. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented tonight. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
If anyone is opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the motion carries. The agenda is approved. Our next item is consent agenda. Are there any changes requested by council for the consent agenda? If there are no changes, I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Bob, this is Melanie. I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Melanie. Tom, did you second it?
Yes.
Thank you, Tom. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented in our packet. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Council Member Holmes.
Yes.
Council Member Sowers.
Yes.
Mayor Giles.
Yes.
Council Member Nielsen.
Yes.
And Council Member Machezik.
Yes.
Thank you, council. The motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. All right, our first item of business is general public comment, which is not related to the two hearings tonight. The two hearings are related to budget for fiscal year 21 and carryover, which is a budget matter. So, to my understanding that comments had to be submitted in writing and that we received 4 public comments today. Is that correct, Annette?
That's correct.
So those comments will be put into the official public record for tonight's meeting. They will become officially part of our record. And our process does not allow for any verbal comments on the general, just the general public comment period. Our next item will be our first public hearing. It's Agenda Bill 20-226, a request to adopt an ordinance setting the fiscal year 21 City of McCall budget appropriation at $26,326,083. That's $26,326,083. This is an action item, and there are many steps in a public hearing. The first step is to declare what the purpose of the hearing is, open the public hearing. The second step is staff will present the budget to us, the council. Third step is each council member will be asked if they have any questions of staff. And then when we complete those 3 steps, I'll outline the next few steps. Let's start with the purpose of the meeting. The purpose of the hearing. Purpose of this hearing is to adopt an ordinance setting the fiscal year 21 City of McCall budget appropriation. And Linda, you're going to lead us through these next steps, so please help us out.
Okay, good evening, Mayor Giles, members of the council. At your last meeting, the budget work session, you did set the tentative budget in the amount of $26,326,083. In your packet tonight, you have the proposed budget worksheet, a summary of the budget worksheet, the listing of the CIP plan for the governmental funds of the city, and also the CIP for the water plant and the water fund. And then also in your packet is a draft ordinance. Since you last saw the budget, there have been a few changes to the draft. So after your last meeting, staff identified a couple more carry forward monies from fiscal 20 into fiscal 21. That was in the general fund. The police department had some monies that they wanted to carry forward, as well as in the parks department. They identified some items in the 20 budget that weren't going to be complete by the end of this fiscal year and requested that those get carried forward. So that is one change since you saw the budget. Transfers were recalculated, and as such, after the transfers are recalculated, there is a balancing exercise to make sure all the funds balance and do not exceed the tentative budget amount. So there's been some shifting in property taxes between the funds, in the governmental funds, so general fund, streets, library, recreation, and airport. And in the enterprise funds, those funds are self-balancing, so there's some shifting between items in those funds to get them to balance. That's the water fund and golf fund. As of 3 p.m. today, there were no public comments, written public comments regarding the budget. And that is all I have as far as an introduction. Are there any questions from the council on the minor changes or the changes since you last saw the budget?
All right, we'll start with Mike.
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We'll next go to Tom. Tom, did you have any questions or comments for Linda?
No, I didn't. Thank you very much, Linda.
Thanks, Tom. Melanie, you are next.
No questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Melanie. Colby?
No questions for me.
Thank you, Colby. And there are no questions from Bob, from me. So, and Linda, you said there were no written comments on the tentative budget?
No.
The draft budget, okay. Thank you. All right, so our next step is public comment. There were no written correspondence, but step 5 is public comment. It would be limited to 3 minutes per person. The time cannot be deferred to another person. And it's not a question and answer session with staff. It's a chance for the public to state its questions, comments, concerns, and then the staff would have an opportunity to address those items during their rebuttal. So I'm going to reach out to Council President Nielsen and ask if there are any members of the public that are in attendance with you at the community center, and if so, do they wish to make comment regarding the city budget?
Thank you, Mayor. There is no one in attendance, so no public comment from the community center.
Thank you, Colby. Perhaps there's someone on teleconference that would like to make a comment, and we have provided time and a mechanism to do that. If you are on the line and can hear me and would like to provide comment to council on our budget, please press *6 to unmute your phone, and we will wait 30 seconds. It takes approximately 20 to 30 seconds using the system that we're on teleconference to make the unmute effective. So that's 30 seconds. I don't hear anyone trying to reach us. If you are trying to reach us, please try calling one of our staff on cell phone or giving us a call on a separate line. All right, let the record show there is no public comment from the floor at the community center and no comment from the teleconference option. So step 6 is staff rebuttal, and doesn't sound like we'll need any rebuttal since there was no comment. I will poll the council one more time to see if you have any last minute questions before we proceed to making a motion to approve the budget. I'll start with Mike.
None, thank you.
Tom?
No, I don't have any questions.
Melanie?
No, sir. Thank you.
Colby?
None for me, thank you.
Thank you, council. I have no questions. I think we're good. At this point, we're on step 8. I will close the public hearing. No further public testimony will be allowed. I believe it is the mood of the council to proceed on 2 items that are sub-items under this action item. The first would be to make a motion to approve the budget. We would have to suspend the rules, read by title only, one time only, ordinance number blank. So let me write down the ordinance number. Annette, do you have that in the record?
I do. It's ordinance number 992.
Thank you, Annette. That's ordinance number 992. Would someone please make a motion to suspend the rules, read by title only, one time only, ordinance number 992?
I make a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only, one time only, ordinance number 992.
This is Tom. I'll second.
Thank you, council. Motion has been made and seconded to suspend the rules, read by title only, one time only, ordinance number 992. Annette, will you be reading that for us?
I believe you take the vote first and then I read the ordinance for you. So I can do the roll call vote if you'd like first.
Yep, let's do that. Thank you for reminding me.
Councilmember Nielsen,
Yes.
Councilmember Sowers,
Yes.
Mayor Giles,
Yes.
Councilmember Holmes,
Yes.
Councilmember Machezik.
Yes.
Okay, so I will read the ordinance title for you. Ordinance 992, an ordinance entitled the FY21 Annual Appropriation Ordinance for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2020, appropriating the sum of $26,326,083 to defray the expenses and liabilities of the City of McCall for said fiscal year, authorizing a levy of a sufficient tax.
Thank you, Annette. So that motion passes, and we've read by title only ordinance number 992. Our second item under this topic would be to adopt ordinance number 992. Setting the fiscal year 21 City of McCall budget appropriation at $26,326,083 and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents. May I have a motion, please?
I move we adopt ordinance number 992, setting the fiscal year 21 City of McCall budget appropriation at $26,326,083 and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents.
Thank you, Colby.
Second, Bob. This is
Thank you.
Melanie.
Thank you, Melanie. Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance number 992, setting the fiscal year 21 City of McCall budget appropriation at $26,326,083 and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Nielsen,
Yes.
Councilmember Holmes,
Yes.
Mayor Giles,
Yes.
Councilmember Machezik,
Yes.
Councilmember Sowers.
Yes.
Thank you, council. The motion passes. We have a budget approved. Our next item is to request to approve resolution 20-18 to reserve what's called foregone amount for fiscal year 2021 for potential use in subsequent years. This is an action item, and I will open the hearing for this action item, and the staff that we will, the process that we'll go through is similar to the last hearing. The purpose of the hearing, this public hearing, is to consider the approval resolution 20-18 to reserve the foregone amount for fiscal year 2021 for potential use in subsequent years. Staff will present resolution 20-18 to the council.
Linda, you're on mute, Linda.
Thank you, Annette. There's a lot to do. So this resolution became necessary during the 2020 state legislature session this past year and became effective July 1, 2020. It requires the cities to pass a resolution each year to accrue foregone property tax levying authority that could be levied in a future year. So if the city if a city does not approve a resolution to accrue foregone, that foregone is then forfeited permanently. So the process to accrue foregone is, as I said, to approve a resolution, accrual resolution for the city budget. And it can also be, it can be done at the same time as the city budget as we are doing tonight. So the budget you just approved does not include the maximum allowable 3% increase for 2021 budget. So therefore, the amount of $189,631 is eligible to be accrued into foregone, and upon passage of the resolution would be available to use in subsequent years should the city need those funds. In your packet tonight, you have a draft copy of the foregone resolution. And that draft was distributed by AIC for use of cities. Our city attorney, Bill Nichols, has looked at this resolution, and so before you is a reviewed by legal counsel resolution for your consideration for approval and adoption tonight. And again, there was no public comment received on this public hearing as well. No written public comment as of 3 p.m.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm going to poll the council. We'll go in the same order, starting with Mike and Tom, and ask council if they have any questions or comments they'd like to share with Linda.
It's Mike. I don't have any questions or comments.
Tom?
No, nothing at this time.
Melanie?
Nope. Thank you.
Colby?
None for me.
This is Bob. I don't have any questions either, Linda. Thank you for explaining that. I'm assuming out years would be the earliest that foregone could be voted on to use, and a budget would be fiscal year 22.
That is correct.
Thank you. All right, there were no written comments. Has anyone showed up at the last minute? Council President Nielsen over at the community center.
There is still no one here for public comment at the community center.
Okay, let the record show that. We will take a 30-second break. I'm going to ask anyone that's on teleconference to press *6 to unmute your phone, and we'll give you 30 seconds to talk to us, to start your conversation. As in the past hearing, the public comment, whether in person or over the phone, is limited to 3 minutes per person. Cannot be deferred to another person. It is not a question and answer session with staff, but the public is encouraged to state its questions, comments, or concerns, and then the staff will have the opportunity to address those during rebuttal. My clock says we've waited 30 seconds. Hearing nothing on the teleconference. So we have not received any written comments, no one from the community center and no one from teleconference related to resolution 20-18. At this point, I will close the public hearing on foregone. There will be no need for staff rebuttal. I will ask each council member if we're ready to, we have two options. Either we adopt the foregone accrual as per the resolution that has been reviewed by city attorney and staff, or we would permanently forfeit the fiscal year 21 foregone amount. Council, what would you like us to do of those two options? Let me start with Mike.
Just to refresh my memory on this, we already talked about this, and I'm forgetting where we landed with it all.
So we have talked about it, Mike. There's two parts to the term foregone. One, we reached agreement unanimously as a council to not use the foregone this year. There is a bank account you might think of, a foregone amount, several $100,000. Linda, do you know the exact amount that we currently have in the foregone?
You're muted, Linda.
Ah, darn mute. It's 400,000 and I think $411. I can get the exact amount, but it's 400,000. It is a, that's the larger portion.
Thanks. So roughly 400,000, Mike and council. And so think of that as it's an amount that if we adopt resolution 20-18, that is you could think of it as an emergency fund that could be used in fiscal year 22 or any year after that. If we do not do that, then the amount is the foregone amount is forfeited. Now we're not using foregone at all this year in fiscal year 21. So that's the two parts. We're not using it in the current budget that we're discussing tonight, fiscal year 21, but I believe there's interest, and it would give the council a lot of flexibility and the city flexibility if we had, say, some emergency that we needed to address. It would be nice to be able to tap into that. So with that background, Mike, what are your leanings?
Well, it sounds to me like, I guess why would we permanently forfeit that?
Linda, could you explain that legislation that was just passed?
Explain the legislation or address Mike's question, Councilmember Machezik's question.
So I was told anyway, that you told us that we had a new law passed that it would be forfeited if we did not adopt this resolution. And that was due to our state legislature's new law of 2020. Could you tie that together?
Yes, so House Bill 354 was passed this current year, which made a requirement that cities, if they want to accrue foregone, they need to formally do so by passing a resolution. Now, the reasons why you would not accrue foregone, you would just permanently forego those dollars. You would not have access to them. It could be considered a permanent, it could be considered as a property tax relief kind of thing that you would permanently forego those dollars. I don't know of any other reasons other than just not levying those dollars, which then would become a tax on the citizens.
So just so I'm clear, I'm not seeing what the benefit would be to forfeit, which would then lead to the decision that we would want to adopt it. Am I understanding correctly?
So you adopt the resolution, you don't forfeit. if you don't adopt the resolution, you do forfeit. I just want to be clear.
So
As the treasurer, I think to be fiscally responsible, none of us knows what's coming in the future. The cost of doing business go up every year. The CPI oftentimes is greater than 3%. So I think it's fiscally good management to be able to reserve those dollars if you need to take them. Historically, the councils before you have not taken foregone since 2008, 2009. So the balance that you have has been was accrued over time whenever the council made the decision not to take the 3%. But since 2009, foregone has not been needed to be used. However, it is there, kind of like a savings account, if you will, or an amount that you could draw from should you need to.
thank you, Linda.
Yeah, so Bob, I think that answers my question. I mean, I guess so my input would be, yeah, why would we not have that more or less in a savings account per se?
Right, so you would support passing the resolution 28-18 to, we're not using it this year, but we are keeping it in our so-called savings account. Tom, what are your thoughts on the foregone?
That's my idea exactly, Mayor Bob.
Thank you, Tom. Melanie?
I am in favor of keeping that in our savings account, if you will.
Thanks, Melanie. Colby?
Yeah, I'm in favor of accrual.
This is Bob. I'm also in favor of accrual. Thank you, Colby. Thank you, council. So I think we are all on board. We're gonna go with option 1, adopt foregone accrual resolution 20-18 to reserve foregone amount for fiscal year 21. To reserve it, that is, not use it in fiscal year 21 for potential use in subsequent years, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents. May I have a motion to do that, please?
So moved, Bob. This is Melanie.
Thank you, Melanie. Is there a second?
Second, it's Colby.
Thank you, Colby. A motion has been made and seconded to adopt foregone accrual resolution 20-18 to reserve foregone amount for fiscal year 2021 for potential use in subsequent years and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Holmes,
Yes.
Councilmember Nielsen,
Yes.
Mayor Giles,
Yes.
Councilmember Machezik,
Yes.
Councilmember Sowers,
Yes.
Thank you, council. The motion passes. It carries, and the foregone will stay in the foregone account for out year fiscal year 22 or later consideration. Linda, thanks for explaining all that. It is a little tricky. And
You
I
are welcome.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
appreciate
Thank
your
you for,
patience.
sorry, Bob, Mayor. Thank you for adopting the budget ordinance, and I want to thank everybody who worked through the budget development this year for all their hard work.
Okay, we are now into the part of the meeting where we will have some questions and comments on the monthly department reports. It is an action item to accept them, but we have, I believe, 20 minutes, a pretty generous, or maybe it's 30 minutes. Let's see, it starts at 6:20, goes till 6:50. So we have a half hour that we had budgeted on this topic, because there's a lot of interesting stuff in each of the department reports. The way we'll proceed through this is we'll start with the city manager's report, and then I will quickly poll the council to see if you have any questions, and then we'll move on to the next department. So Annette, you'll lead us off.
Okay, are there any questions for me from my July department report from council?
So I'll start with Mike.
Sure. One question is not necessarily related to your report, but along the subject matter there is, do we know yet whether anything changes for the city of McCall as it relates to the ordinance regarding masks relative to Valley County making that ordinance and Central District Health making that decision? Does that somehow put us in a situation where we would not need to address that come the end of the month? Because it's
Thank you,
countywide.
Councilor Machezek, for the question. So right now, both orders are in effect, and we can talk about that now instead of at the end of the meeting. And our attorney, Bill Nichols, is on the line, so he can help clarify as well. But my understanding after speaking with Central District Health is that our order is in effect for McCall, and then their order is in effect in all the other areas of Valley County. So our police department will continue to enforce our order as written. When we get to the expiration of our order, my understanding is that if council does not take any action to extend it, then the Central District Health order will apply in McCall. And I believe Bill Nichols is on the line and can help clarify that if I'm not correct, but that's my understanding.
This is Bill, and that's correct. The primary difference between the two orders is the penalty. So the Central District Health order, a violation is a misdemeanor, where your penalty is just a fine.
And
So
these
at the
Central,
end, oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to add one more fact. Central District Health's order does not have a set expiration date, where you have been extending yours by 30-day increments. And so theirs is indefinite until such time as that board terminates it.
That's really helpful to understand. So thanks. I know that was just related to that part of your report, but yeah, that's really helpful. Thanks for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Tom, any questions for city manager?
None at all. Thank you.
Melanie?
I have no questions. I really just wanted to say thank you to Annette and Kurt and Nathan for making East Lake Street so much safer. I have been worried about it for so long, and the bollards, literally, I have seen like one car driving the wrong way versus 12 cars a day. And I am just wanting to thank them so much for that change. Like it's amazing. And I feel like we have made a safe change that our city is, we needed that so much, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Melanie. Hopefully Nathan's on the call tonight and heard those nice compliments. Colby, any questions or comments for city manager?
Yeah, I guess to follow up on Melanie's, I saw a comical thing that when those bollards were being installed, I witnessed a left-hand turn out of there right in front of all the city staff installing them. I got a good chuckle. The question I have, I guess, is for the CARES Act for law enforcement. Is there any more clarity on that, or is it still a convoluted thing?
Right now, the only new information that is not already in my memo is that Linda is scheduled to be on a conference call. I believe it's with the State Tax Commission tomorrow morning, where they're going to give us some more information on how they see this working and what cities need to do. And one of the primary outstanding questions that we hope to get answered tomorrow is how they plan to hold harmless urban renewal districts. Because if this credit is passed on, it has an impact on urban renewal. And the governor's executive order for the program says that they have to be held harmless. So the question is, like, who comes up with the money to make the urban renewal district whole again? And so once we get that information, we'll be able to formulate a staff recommendation for the council in time to meet the deadline of that program. And you all will be able to make a determination about whether you want to participate. So that's the one sort of unanswered question hanging out there right now. The other issue that I don't think anything has really happened on yet is the lawsuit that Bonner County filed against the governor, claiming this program was not properly being administered. And so I don't know if that will be answered in time before you have to make a decision about whether to participate. But that's the other thing that's hanging out there right now.
Great, thanks. That's all I have.
If I may, I have one more, something to add about the CARES Act. So your next council meeting on the 27th is the last regular meeting before I have to certify the taxes, the tax levy to the city clerk, or the county clerk, excuse me. So we would either need to bring you a recommendation at your next regularly scheduled meeting, or schedule a special meeting to make some kind of a final decision prior to the certification of the levy.
So Linda, I think our desire of the council would be to, if you have sufficient information, you and Annette, we would like to see your recommendation, staff's recommendation to us at the regularly scheduled meeting the end of August.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was on everybody's radar, that time is getting a little short, so hopefully we'll have better information in 2 weeks.
Thank you. I have no questions for Annette. Let's move on to the airport department. Any questions for Rick Stein? Mike?
None, thanks.
Tom?
None at this time.
Melanie?
No, thank you.
Colby?
Yeah, I guess, how do you feel about the airport master plan moving along, and are we beginning to get public input on that, or where are we at with that? Because I guess I really haven't seen on that.
Yes, Counselor. Actually, we're very early in the process. I have drafts that I've been going over the first 3 chapters of the airport master plan, which is just background information. I've already received some replies. Most of them were fairly short, nothing in detail. I would think that most of the people are probably waiting to see the later chapters of the airport master plan, so they can have a better idea on what to form an opinion on.
Gotcha. So we're not trying to solicit public input going into it. I guess I'm not quite clear on what the process is on our.
Oh no, we've already been soliciting public input. The city has set up a separate website for people to keep track of what's going on at the airport master plan, which also includes a section where people can provide written comments. We've also tried to schedule the first public meeting, but due to the coronavirus, that turned out to be very difficult. But so that's why we set up the website, which has a video that explains what would have been told to the public in the very first airport master plan meeting. And there are at least 4 more public meetings to be held. The FAA only really requires 2. So we'll be well covered on that. Did I answer the question correctly?
Yeah.
I mean,
No, that's super helpful. It was not really on my radar. It is now, and so we'll try to be more involved. How's all the construction going?
actually, the construction is going very well. They are on time. There are no real problems going on. As a matter of fact, I look out the window and they're still moving dirt out there on the south portion of the new taxiway Alpha. So it looks like the major construction is still on schedule to be wrapped up possibly by September 28th. On time, on schedule.
That's great news. That's all I have. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Colby. Rick, I have no further questions. So we'll move on to the clerk's office. And Annette, I think you're pinch hitting if there are any questions on that. So start with Mike. Any questions for Annette on the clerk's department?
I don't have any questions. Thanks, Bob.
Tom?
None at this time.
Melanie?
I'm good.
Colby?
None from me.
No questions from me. We'll move on to community economic development. Michelle, are you on the line with us tonight?
Yes, I am.
Mike, any questions for Michelle?
I don't have any questions for Michelle. Thanks.
Tom?
No, none at this time.
Melanie?
None for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Melanie. Colby?
Yeah, how was the first housing advisory committee meeting?
It was good. There was lots of enthusiasm. And so the group's going to meet again. I believe the date is the 24th. They basically all took a topic area that they wanted to research. And so they're going to spend some time on that and then report back to the group. I think each member had a slightly different interest in some different topics. So that's kind of how they wanted to kick it off. And we did elect a chair and a vice chair and kind of did all the housekeeping bylaws kind of work that needed to be done. So they plan on meeting monthly instead of quarterly.
Oh, that's great news, and glad to hear they all had some different areas of interest. So
Yeah, they all seem pretty excited to get to work.
Well, good. That's all I have.
Thanks, Colby. I don't have any further questions than the ones I've heard, and thanks for the update on the housing advisory. We'll go to golf. Questions for Eric from Mike?
None, thank you.
Tom?
No, I don't.
Melanie?
Not as of now.
Colby?
None from me.
So Eric, if you're on the line, I just have a real quick question about the McCall Amateur and COVID-19. Just a quick summary. Do you think things went pretty well, how that was managed?
I believe so. I think with having it on tea times, there wasn't the congregation that they normally have. There were a few people we had a little bit of trouble with trying to spectate, but on a whole, it was handled really well. The tea times have worked good, and Alan's commented that he doesn't see us going back to shotgun starts. The tea times have been so successful.
Thank you, Eric. Glad to hear that. Information systems. Questions from Mike?
I don't have any, thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Tom?
Nope, none.
Thanks, Tom. Melanie?
No, thank you.
Thanks, Lonnie. Colby?
Yeah, I have a question about the CARES Act funding. I'm curious about the Sparklight challenge and maybe hear a little bit more about what's going on there.
So there were two, we submitted two applications. One was for about $100,000 for the pilot neighborhood as outlined in the master plan. And the other was to pull in fiber into all of the existing conduit, as well as provides for some public Wi-Fi. The challenge was the same from Sparklight for both of them. One of the guidelines was that we weren't allowed to overbuild, meaning if somebody else had, if a commercial provider had fiber services in that spot, that we couldn't then put our own in on top of that. The pilot neighborhood was sort of in conflict with that particular guideline, so we wound up pulling that. The other project, to pull and splice the fiber, also had a Wi-Fi component for the public Wi-Fi. We resubmitted that with some minor changes to meet that as a public safety concern. Was our approach to that, so that the overbuilding did not apply in that regard. The state has awarded some, if there were applications that were not challenged, they were awarded last week, and we expect to hear by end of day tomorrow on our applications.
And Colby, if I could add a little to that, the lawsuit that Bonner County filed against the governor's office regarding the distribution of CARES Act funds and alleging that it was not being done in accordance with the federal law, includes the broadband grants as well. So it may be that they have to change the mechanism they're using to distribute those funds. And the gist of the Bonner County lawsuit is that the federal law says you can't attach strings to the distribution of this money. It needs to be on a per capita basis, and it needs to just comply with the federal categories that are allowable uses for the money. And by the state of Idaho putting these other requirements on the funds, like the no 3% tax growth, or how the broadband is being distributed, they're saying that that is beyond what the feds have said needs to be done to distribute the money. So there's a possibility, depending on what happens with that lawsuit, that we may see a change to the broadband distribution. Because right now they're saying that all that money has to go into the private sector. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting the way that the state wrote it. In theory, we, the city, are supposed to ask for the money, then build the infrastructure, and then hand it over to a private company, which I don't agree with personally. One additional item of note with regard to that funding is that these projects would have to be completed by December 15th of this year. We are very well positioned in that regard because we were looking at these projects already. So we are cautiously optimistic that they will send some money our way.
Got it. Thanks. So does that kind of put our trial neighborhood at jeopardy of not getting off the ground this year?
Well, it's been submitted in addition to the CARES Act funding submittal. It was submitted as a CIP, so it's a discussion that we definitely need to have.
Great, thanks. That's all I have, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thanks, Colby. Thank you for answering those questions, Chris. Library is next. Mike, any questions for Meg?
I don't have any, thank you.
Tom?
No, none at all.
Melanie?
No, thank you.
Colby?
No, not at this time.
Thank you, Council. Parks and Rec, questions from Mike?
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Tom,
No, none at this time.
Melanie?
Yes, so, Kurt, I don't know if Kurt's with us, is he?
Kurt is actually out of the office today, so I'm not sure who from Parks is on the line. I didn't have a chance to touch base with them before the meeting. So hopefully, one of his staff is on. If not, I can try to answer your question.
So this is kind of a future question, but being where my office is here and watching what the Ponderosa Center is doing out front in grassing and really preparing this area that will not likely get used in the near future. It looks like a beautiful area that we could potentially in the future do a locals movie night like we have in the past. And my question is only that, we, I guess, consider at some point before the end of this year that we potentially maybe partner with David Carey in doing something for the community that would look like maybe a movie night or something like that, and whether or not we could put that together. So it's not a question, it's a suggestion, I guess.
Okay. I think that's definitely something we can look into prior to all of the pandemic restrictions coming into play earlier this spring. We had partnered with them on using the stage and having events there during the 4th of July Lakeside Liberty Fest. And the Ponderosa Center had been open to that. We were going to have a military band play on that stage. So I think it definitely is a possibility that they would be interested in working with Parks and Rec again on some other ideas for the community to use that space. So I will talk to Kurt about that when he gets back.
Thank you. I think especially in the upcoming fall, maybe when it's a little lighter in traffic, might be a wonderful opportunity for us to do something for the community.
Thank you, Melanie. Colby?
Nothing for me.
Thank you, Colby. I don't have any follow-up on Parks and Rec. We will move on to the Police Department. Mike, any questions for Justin, Chief of Police?
I don't have any questions. Thanks, Bob.
Tom, questions for Justin?
None at this time. Thank you.
Melanie?
I'm good, thank you.
Colby?
Are we getting any closer to hiring some new cops?
I believe that Justin was not able to get on. I was just looking at the participant list to see if Dallas was on there. My understanding is that we had 2 candidates that have been moving through the process, and one of them is slated to start soon, and the other one is still going through the testing. And Justin has shared with me that they've recently seen an uptick of interest in our job postings, and he was feeling really optimistic about that. So,
Well, that's good news. That's all I had.
okay.
Thanks, Annette. Thank you, Colby. I don't have any further questions for the police. Our last department report is Public Works. Mike, questions for Public Works?
I don't have any questions for Public Works, but I do have a comment, and that is downtown is looking great.
Hey, Nathan.
Hello, thanks, Mike. Appreciate that.
Tom, questions or comments for Nathan Stewart?
Nope, none at this time.
Melanie?
I would just like to say thank you very much for taking all of the criticism and the frustrations and just really trying hard to continue to work through it. You've done well. I mean, this summer has been hard and you've had way more challenges than any one of us could have imagined. And I just want to say thank you very much.
I appreciate that very much. Yeah, it's been an interesting challenge, and it's also been a growing experience, I think, for the community. So a lot of people that we've talked to that maybe have had difficulties understanding the project as the years go by now are becoming advocates and are understanding things. And we have new challenges every week, but it's rewarding to see smiles, more smiles now that projects are getting completed than frowns and frustrations. So very much appreciate that.
Thanks, Melanie. Colby?
Yeah, nothing from me, and echo Melanie's comments. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Colby. Thanks for joining us, Nathan. It really looks great downtown, and you're right on. There's a good feeling when things start getting finished, and just incrementally, it's going great. Thank you for all your hard work, and please pass along the comments that were complimentary tonight from council to your staff and all of your partners that help you with inspection work too. All right, that concludes the department reports. We have a really interesting presentation, Agenda Bill 20-223 by the Idaho Transportation Department on Highway 55, the safety improvement project between Rainbow Bridge and Smith's Ferry. This is a presentation only, but we get to ask questions. I'm pretty sure we have time programmed for that, or we'll make time. So the city manager, Annette, will help us introduce the topic and introduce members of ITD. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Mayor Giles. Tonight we have representatives from Idaho Transportation Department's project team that's leading the safety improvement project on Highway 55 between the Rainbow Bridge and Smith's Ferry. And my understanding is this project has been in development for many years, and they've completed all of their environmental assessments and all of the processes needed to obtain the right-of-way and those activities, and are ready to begin construction. In your packet is an informational flyer they provided that they have also been putting out through various other channels into other entities throughout Valley County. And so they want to talk to you specifically about the project, answer any questions you may have, and lay out kind of a vision for how this may look coming this fall. And so on the call with us tonight, we have Bo Hunter. I think, is that the person that's on the video? And then we also have, whoops, my screen died. Mr. Alex, is it Dayduck? D-Duck, yes. And Vince Trimboli. And so they are at your disposal, and they will explain to you the project and what we can expect.
Welcome.
So I will turn it over to them.
Start off, my name is Alex D-Duck. I am the ITD project manager for the Smith's Ferry to Round Valley roadway reconstruction. Just to let you know, Bo Hunter is not on the call. Myself and Vince Foley should be able to handle any questions. Just for anyone who's not familiar with this project, to give you an idea of our limits, the project beginning will be just north of Smith's Ferry, specifically where the concrete barrier at Howard's Plunge is currently located. And it will continue on through all the curves, which I'm sure we're all familiar driving through, just south of Rainbow Bridge. Some of the goals that we're looking forward to taking care of, we're going to be realigning the highway to straighten any curves in the road. That will be done through blasting. We'll be installing guardrail, concrete parapet, and additional shoulders to better protect drivers. And then lastly, we're going to be installing steel mesh along that blasted rock to help either pin the rock to itself, or anything that might come down, it's going to fall and go right into the ditch as opposed to the roadway. So the big thing with this project is the time frame. And there are really 3 seasons that for this project. There is the spring and the fall, summer and the winter. Being that we're heading into the fall season, well, just to give you a heads up, the construction is expected to start the day after Labor Day, so September 8th. And so that fall season will extend to mid-November, weather permitting. As you guys know, snow is variable, so mid-November is their time frame. And then the spring season, which is going to last from March 15th to May 15th. Some of the closures that you'll see during the spring and fall seasons, the contractor is allowed to close 1 lane with temporary signals and concrete barrier. So those beginning and end of projects will have a stoplight which will cue traffic and let it through once the work zone is cleared. Full closures for blasting will happen are allowed Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So during those time frames, the road will be completely closed for the protection because we'll be blasting along with the river. The river will have flaggers on the entrance to the river to make sure any floaters or rafters that happen to be going through will not be going through the work zone when we're blasting. And then again, like I mentioned, winter shutdown will occur somewhere in November. Winter shutdown will be completely free traffic, so 2 lanes of traffic in both directions during the winter season will be happening. And then from the summer season, that is May 15th to Labor Day. During that time frame, the contractor is allowed to close 1 lane of traffic with flaggers all day long. And however, Friday through Sunday in the summer, the contractor is required to have the road open to 2 lanes of traffic at all times. So that's basically, it sounds like you guys have a piece of paper in front of you kind of detailing those timeframes, which is kind of the big part of this project. Does anyone have any questions for me regarding the project, construction questions, anything?
Alec, thanks for that good handout that we have in front of us. Appreciate that. And thank you for your presentation. Mike, do you have any questions for Alec from ITD?
I don't have any questions, but I do appreciate you coming and filling us in and giving us a little more information. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. Tom?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Melanie?
No, but again, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about this.
Thanks, Melanie. Colby?
Yeah, I guess on the timeline, you're anticipating being complete by the end of next summer?
No, construction is slated to be completed November of 2022.
Copy.
There's going to be a significant amount of blasting, and we have pretty short windows where we allow that. So it's a multi-year project.
Got it. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate it. I'll miss it. That's my favorite section of highway there, but I guess I like to live on the edge. But I appreciate you taking the time to keep us updated and keep us in the loop on this, and it'll be a good project.
And
Like this is
before I hand it off, we also have Vince Trimboli will be talking after me and discussing the public involvement that we've been doing on this project.
Thank you. Vince, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Member and mayors of the council. We really do appreciate you allowing us this time. And I just want to say, appreciate Alex. He does a great job and really understands the project. And it's certainly a pleasure to work with him. Our number one goal from a public involvement or really a communication and outreach standpoint is to create awareness and to make sure that whether they're citizens of Valley County or your part-time residents who come up from the Treasure Valley, that everybody knows what's going on, that people don't get caught driving up into a closure. We really are putting a heavy emphasis on making sure that we get enough communication out there that at the very least people know, or they know where to go to find information. We have a very comprehensive communication plan. It includes all of the traditional media, social media. We're going to work heavily with the media to earn coverage with the news outlets everywhere from the Treasure Valley up to the Star News and even north of that into Lewiston, and really try to capture people coming north and south, letting them know that this is happening. But it goes deeper than that. We've already started our interview process. We have spoke with up to 30 stakeholders in the area, everything from hotel owners to we spoke with Vacasa, we've talked to Chambers, we've spoken with Annette and your leaders in the city with your staff. We've spoken with the council and leaders already in Cascade. We've really canvassed as much as we can, and we will continue to do that. And I think I felt the fruits of that labor today. We went door to door. We started in Smiths Ferry, actually was all the way in Banks, and spoke to Cascade Raft and Kayak myself today. And we were in Smiths Ferry, we were in Cascade, we were in Donnelly, and we started today in McCall, going door to door, handing the flyer that you have along with mailers to all different types of business owners. We were at Kelly's Whitewater Park today and really trying to hit every door we can. And a vast majority of the people we spoke with today had already heard of the project. So that was good news, because that means all the stakeholders that we've been reaching out to in our interview process, one of the things we've been asking them to do is share the message with their constituencies. And they've done a great job at that so far. So, that's a really good start for us, but we got a long way to go. This is a long project, and we really want to do everything we can to meet that goal. So I appreciate you guys allowing us time to speak. That's all I think that Alex and I have, and kind of yield for any further questions you may have.
Thank you, Vince. Mike, do you have any further questions or comments?
I don't. Thank you.
Tom?
No, I don't. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you, Mike. Melanie?
No, but I love your background, Vince. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Well, I got caught a little.
Whatever it is, it's
well,
amazing.
I'm out at a park. Yeah, I'm out at a park. My son's got a football conditioning here, so it's making good use of time.
Colby?
No, I don't have any questions. It sounds like you guys have a good communication plan, which is definitely going to be important. I really appreciate you guys putting in the effort into that. I like a bunch of people have kind of known about it for a while, but it's nice to hear some more info, and I think you guys are doing great work. So thanks again for taking the time to be here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Colby. So this is Mayor Bob, Vince, and Alex. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Really informative. Keep up the good work. Keep our people posted. I will share with you, there's a lot of folks in our town that are watching what's going on, and they have various different opinions. So I really appreciate you reaching out and being open-minded and listening to people. Continue to do that. It'll go well.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate you letting us talk. And if you need anything, just let us know. And hopefully the next time we see you, it'll be in person.
All right. Well, thank you both. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next item is part of the business agenda, Agenda Bill 20-222. This is a request to approve the appointment of Scott Broyles to the McCall Area Planning and Zoning Commission. This is an action item, and I believe that Morgan Besaw will be presenting. Is that correct, Morgan? Or Michelle, are you covering this tonight?
I am covering this item tonight.
Okay. Take it away.
Okay, so as you know, we have a joint commission that's made up of 4 members from the city limits and 3 members from the McCall impact area. The 4 members from the city limits are appointed by the city council. We've had a position open actually since basically last winter, and we've been advertising that. And then finally, we've received a letter of interest in June from Scott Broyles, who his information and some additional information, like his resume and an article that he provided, is attached in your packet. This went to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they unanimously recommended him for a 3-year appointment that would end in August of 2023.
Any questions for Michelle? Mike?
I don't have any, thank you.
Tom?
No, thank you very much.
Melanie?
None, thank you.
Colby?
I guess the only question I have, or I see Scott there, are you currently residing in McCall now? It's just saw Washington addresses and stuff.
Could someone help Scott with the unmuting? I think, Scott, you may have to press *6.
Okay, am I unmuted now?
Yeah, you're coming through great, Scott.
Okay, so we're here. We have been in and out of this community since May 18th, 1980. And the reason I remember that was that's the day we bought the condo. It's also the day Mount St. Helens erupted. My youngest kid thinks she's from McCall. And the only reason she had to go back to Lewiston, Clarkston was because I had to go to work. Yeah, we're here and we're here full time. And frankly, a little bit retired attorney board. And I enjoyed going to the P&Z meeting and hearing Morgan talk legal and public interest. And I think I can be of some help.
Thank you, Scott. Any
Great.
other questions, Colby?
That's it. I mean, you look like you'd be a good addition to the P&Z.
I agree. Would someone make a motion to appoint to the McCall Area Planning and Zoning Commission Scott Broyles for a 3-year term representing the McCall city limits, expiring August 2023?
Bob, I would like to make that motion to approve the appointment of Scott Broyles to the McCall Area Planning and Zoning with the dates that you aforementioned. Sorry, don't have that in front of me.
You're good. We've got that under the recommended action. Is there a second to Melanie's motion? Thank you, Colby. A motion has been made and seconded to appoint to the McCall Area Planning and Zoning Commission Scott Broyles for a 3-year term representing the McCall city limits, expiring August 2023. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Holmes?
Yes.
Councilmember Nielsen?
Yes.
Mayor Giles?
Yes.
Councilmember Machezik?
Yes.
Councilmember Sowers?
Yes.
Thank you, council. That motion passes. It is approved and Scott is officially a member. Scott, thank you for joining us tonight, and we wish you well on that committee.
Yes, thank you. And I will do the best I can, and I think I can do some good. Good night, folks.
Good night. Next item is the COVID-19 update. Annette, will you lead us off into that update, please?
Yes, I will. I don't have all the usual statistics that Justin provides, but I think everyone is familiar with the state of Idaho has a coronavirus tracking website. Central District Health has one. And in July, St. Luke's McCall started publishing their own data dashboard. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to take a look at those links. I was forwarding each individual email from the hospital as I received them, but it's the same link every time and they regularly update that. So I did stop forwarding those to you since you'd already received them. So hopefully that is okay and you guys have the information you need to click on that dashboard. If the council prefers that I send some reminders from time to time with the link, I'm happy to do that. I just don't want to overload your email inbox with repetitive material. But if you would like me to continue to forward those, just let me know. Our cases, I believe, that our primary residents of Valley County have topped 60 now, I believe, is our current state. So seems that things have quieted down a little bit. People are used to the idea of the mask requirement now. I am not getting anywhere near the number of complaints I received in the beginning when we first implemented. Erin Greaves, our communications manager, has done a great job providing materials to local businesses and signs that they can use to put up, and we've had a lot of businesses take advantage of that material. And then I'm really excited to report that this afternoon, the highway reader board signs are up that we're borrowing from the Forest Service. They went up today near the Welcome to McCall sign that's flashing saying masks required. So that's a very nice gesture by the Forest Service to help us communicate the requirement. You may have heard that our local school district board has approved a reopening plan with COVID protective measures built into that plan. And my understanding from Superintendent Foudy is that the information regarding that went out today or should have gone out today in an email to parents. They have delayed the opening of schools till September 8th. And it sounds like they are structuring the school day so that they have approximately half the student body in the buildings at any given time using alternate day formats, and they are offering an online option for parents. Let's see, and I'm sure you're well aware that the Central District Health Board this week adopted the mask requirement for Valley County at the request of the Valley County Commissioners, and I tuned into that meeting and I thought Commissioner Hasbrook did a really good job presenting their request and responding to the questions from his fellow board members prior to their vote. In terms of the COVID-19 regional task force that I participate in, as well as Delta James and our local agencies, the hospital, the county, we continue to meet virtually every week. And right now the discussion about what we are all collaborating on has shifted to a fall/winter focus. And so there'll be some more discussion with local businesses about what supports they may need moving into the shoulder season. So we'll keep you apprised of anything that comes from that. I have heard anecdotally that our tourism numbers are strong. I'm sure people have seen the number of people in town. And that also is shown in our lot collections for the lodging tax is right back up to normal levels again. And it looks like we will meet our budget amount for this fiscal year. So that's good. And hopefully all of our visitors are respecting our rules and are taking appropriate precautions to minimize the spread of the virus while they're here. And then the last item to let you know about is that the University of Idaho Moss campus is having the Crush the Curve testing folks up August 24th, and the Crush the Curve testing folks have reached out to local employers, and if they have a desire to have employees tested, they can participate in that event on August 24th. The city is not participating in that, and that is only because we have a separate contract and access to the Crush the Curve testing through our AAIA insurance benefit program. And so this particular event that they're hosting out at Moss on the 24th, there is a fee for service and that type of thing. So that would our contract through AAIA is a different benefit, and we can organize our own event through them. So that's why you won't see a city participation in that particular event. But hopefully our private employers will take advantage of that if they see that it's a benefit to them to have employees tested. And that is about all I have, unless you have any particular questions about what's happening. We do have slated on your agenda coming up August 27th to have a discussion with council about how you want to move forward with public meetings after that date in relation to our COVID procedures, as well as the fact that the governor has rescinded the open meetings law exemption, and that is why Mayor Bob described at the beginning of our meeting that we do have a physical meeting location available to the public in addition to the teleconferencing we're doing right now. So we will be discussing that further with you, how you want to proceed in the future at your next meeting, not at this one. But does anyone have any questions?
Mike, I'll call on you first.
I don't. Thanks.
Tom?
None at this time.
Melanie?
No, thank you.
Colby?
Nope, none for me. 498 new cases today, by the way.
Thank you.
Just one question. That Crush the Curve date again. Could you repeat that when that is for small businesses?
August 24th.
Thank you.
And that notice is going out through communications from the Chamber of Commerce and this regional task force group. They're organizing all of that.
Thank you, Annette.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any other questions, so we'll move on to upcoming meeting schedule.
Okay, so your next meeting, August 27th, will be the same format as tonight, the virtual meeting plus the in-person availability at the community center. And I don't know, Mayor, if you want to see if there's a volunteer from the council that wishes to be the in-person member elected official that is present at the community center tonight. Colby volunteered to do that, but perhaps another counselor would want to take a turn over there, but I will leave that up to you all to decide. But under the current rules, we do need to have one elected official at the physical meeting location to meet the open meetings law requirement. At that meeting, it's your next segment of training on P&Z, on the design guidelines and general development standards with the county and yourselves and our P&Z. We will also be discussing back to the COVID issues, your emergency powers ordinance, which you first adopted back in the middle of March, and it had a 180-day term, and so that will be expiring in September, and so we'll discuss that. And then the individual mask resolution that you were authorized to do underneath that emergency powers ordinance, and whether you want to continue either of those. And we'll be talking about the CARES Act funding for the law enforcement issue that we talked about earlier tonight in the budget piece. And then tomorrow, the draft environmental impact statement comes out for the Midas Gold project. And so I've slated a time on the 27th to do a little update for you on that and talk with you about public comment that the city council may wish to have submitted regarding that project. So we'll discuss that more on the 27th. And then you have your August special work session, Friday the 28th, and that will be Nathan. And we're going to give you an update on where we are with the streets local option tax projects, as well as his recommendations for the next phase of our maintenance projects in the roadways. So that will be really good to do that check-in on where we're at with implementing that ordinance. And then I think everything else is pretty standard business though on the meetings coming up after that. We've slated a second round of discussion, it looks like, for the emergency powers ordinance if needed on your September meeting as well. So I don't know if you have any questions about what's coming up or if there's anything that you would like to see added to your agenda.
Before we do that, let's thank you for the reminder about needing a volunteer from council over at the community center. So I think on that, the way this is laid out to meet open meeting law, we would need a person on August 27th, the Thursday night regular meeting, and also during our special work session. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let's, Colby, thank you for doing that. I found it difficult when I was trying to be the moderator or the facilitator of the meeting and be over in the community center. It was just difficult for me. So thank you for stepping up and taking care of that responsibility tonight. Could I get two other people, someone for Thursday and somewhere for, that's Thursday, August the 27th, the regular meeting, to sit in at the community center as Colby did tonight, and then someone on Friday morning, August 28th.
Bob, this is Melanie. I just want to tell you I'm not going to volunteer, and I just want to let you know the reason that I'm not going to volunteer is because of a couple of underlying conditions that I feel if there are multiple people there, I just can't do it.
Okay. Tom, would you be available for one of those 2 days?
I'm unfortunately not going to be available for either of them at this time.
Okay. Mike, could you help us out on Thursday, the regular meeting?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll put Mike down for Thursday night, the 27th, and then Annette we'll work with Colby and I, and we'll decide who's going to do the Friday meeting. Thank you, council.
Yeah, I'm fine with doing Friday. You can just put me down.
Colby, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It's nice to be back under fluorescent lights at a meeting.
All right. Well, thanks again. Thanks, council.
Right on, Colby.
So I'm going to just open it up. I'm not going to call on you individually, but Annette asked us, are there any items that we don't have that you'd like added, or any comments about just in general about the upcoming meeting schedule? Again, I'll just open it up, open mic to all of you.
Nothing from me.
No,
Okay.
I don't have anything at this time.
I think I'm good.
Hearing
Yeah,
none? Go ahead, Mike.
I don't have any, and I assume as it relates to the 27th that somebody will set me up as far as what I need to do at the community center.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What we usually do, Mike, is have a staff person. I believe Amanda Payne was over there to help set up, and she may still be in the building. But she was helpful, going through the routine and making sure the computer works and talking about procedures over there. So you will have a staff person helping you. Is that true, Colby? Did I say that accurately?
That is accurate. You don't even need to bring a computer. They got it all set up here. It's pretty convenient.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, does that sound good, Mike?
Yeah, and then just for clarity on that, as far as people there, then Amanda's in charge of keeping people at a distance and all that good stuff. Is that how we're doing it if we have people show up like we didn't tonight, but.
So we have it printed on the agenda, and our staff person would help do that. You would just concentrate on, running that portion of the meeting and paying attention on your computer screen.
Yeah, we have the room set up to be physically distanced if the public arrives, and with tape designations on the floor and where the chairs are arranged and that type of thing. And then Amanda would help ensure that they follow that. It's pretty straightforward, though. It's
Okay.
laid out correctly.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Council and staff, thank you for a good meeting tonight. Lots of good information. We got the budget approved. That's a big deal. And heard some great information from ITD. I'm going to adjourn the meeting. And thanks, everybody. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Bob. Good
Thanks.
night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.